Sportin Wales podcast.
Supported by DragonBet,
Your go-to for Welsh sports news and views.
Hello and welcome to the Sportin Wales podcast, sponsored by DragonBet and co-founded by Alex Cuthbert and Gareth Anscombe. I'm Geraint Hardy and I'm here to keep the guests in check as we look forward to the Sportin Wales week. Please remember to click follow and thanks for listening to this podcast. And this week in the studio, we have sports journalist Philip Marsh and the one and only Danny Gabbidon joins us as well. Great to have you both with us. First appearance for you, Gabs. Ready to go?
Debut, yeah. Prepared and ready, boys. So, looking forward to chatting to you both. It's been a while, actually. I saw you, the Wales game, didn't I, Gareth, when was it? Last week? Week ago?
Yeah, we bumped into each other, didn't we?
BBC, yeah.
It was nice to see you.
And Phil, we did a Newport game earlier in the season.
Yeah,
didn't we,
back in January, February time, I think. So, but they all changed there.
He nearly left you in the lurch, though, Gabs, that day, didn't he?
Yeah, as we were just saying, I mean, not Gabs' fault at all, but I think it was half the M4 was shut, wasn't it, that day? So a bit stressful. I think he texted me about 2 hours before kickoff, hoping to be there on time. And I was like, on time for the start of the radio show, the game. I was like, a bit stressful, but no, all turned out okay in the end.
On time today, boys, on time today.
Were you ever late for a match, Gabs, as in when you were a player?
Not that I can remember. I can remember coming out of the dressing room late and missed the kickoff, second half of a game.
Really?
Yeah.
What were you doing having a wee?
I was having a number 2. So I was at QPR. Walnut was manager, right? So we're coming at half time, and he used to do a thing where he'd let you he'd go into his room for a few minutes and you'd mill about, and then he'd come out and say a few words. So we're all kind of waiting for him to come out, but he's about 10 minutes. So I'm thinking, I need like a number 2. I need to go. I probably should have gone, but I thought I'll wait till he does his team talk. So he does his team talk. I've got to go. I've gone in, come back out. Everyone's gone. There's no one in the dressing room. Everyone's gone. I'm panicking, thinking, oh my God. But then I'm thinking, well, they won't start the second half without me.
Yeah.
I've gone out there. They've kicked off. It was Man United we were playing, and I'm on the side, trying to get back on. Wayne Rooney goes into the box, almost scores, and Warnock turns around and sees that I'm on the pitch. I'm like, he went absolutely, honestly, he went ballistic, boys. Honestly, I was like, I've never been shared at so much in my life.
Do you still have to wait for the ref to wave you back on then? Or
But I didn't think the ref could start, though, because they always count the players, don't they?
Yeah, I was going to say that, yeah.
But he just kicked off. So, and Rooney, he almost scored. I think I would have got sold. If he'd scored, I would have been sold by the Monday, I think.
Sold because you needed a poo, basically.
Honestly, mate. But yeah, that's the only time I've been late for a game. Yeah.
He loses it, Warnock, though. Remember on Cardiff City? Yeah. He used to shout on the side of the pitch. He was nuts, isn't he?
Yeah, you don't want to be on one of the end of his... of the backlash of Neil Warnock. No, he can be a really kind of nice guy as well. If you're good to him, he's kind of good to you. But if you get on his on the wrong side, he can be a ruthless guy, to be fair. So so I was on the receiving end of that once or twice under his management. So I learned my lesson after that one.
Yeah,
go straight to the toilet at half time.
Did you before matches then? Because certain teams, players get to drive. And then some people, they meet and then they get on a bus and they all travel together. What was your preference for a match day?
To ensure not being late, you prefer to all go on the coach.
Yeah.
But generally, the teams I played at, the home games, you'd all kind of make your way there. We had a couple of foreign managers who sometimes were a bit different, where you go to the hotel in the morning. Or park your cars up in the morning, then go to the hotel, and then you'd all kind of arrive on the coach and stuff. So every manager was different, but there's sometimes when I played at Cardiff, Ninian Park was quite difficult to kind of get into with all the fans, so you might end up getting in there a little bit late. Or West Ham was a bit similar with where the ground was, where you could get caught in traffic and you're panicking, and you might be rushing to kind of get in and stuff. But it's pretty, most of the new stadiums now and stuff is pretty that, you don't get that problem now. A lot of the teams now tend to go to hotels even for home games, which a lot of the players don't really like. I can't remember being late on too many occasions. On time, I would say. I was an on-time guy, yeah.
My favourite thing, Phil, and I still do it to this day outside stadiums, is watching the players come in and just looking at their cars and just seeing who's got the nicest car. And I do it at Cardiff City every game. I'm like, he's got a new motor. You clock it then, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Try to spot the personal regs, try and work out whose car's who, just based on...
Do you know what? It's interesting. I think, didn't Alan Shearer have like... when he got 200 goals or something, he had like a personal number plate, AS 200. I'm pretty sure he did. And I saw it at Old Trafford once, and I thought I wouldn't have a personal number plate if I was a footballer, because people know where you are,
exactly
what you're up to. If you're late, Gabs, do you know what I mean?
I've never had one, and that's for that reason really. As soon as you have one of them, everyone knows it's your car, and it's very easy then for someone to, you might have had a bad game or something. One of the fans.
But away fans can scratch your car and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Who was the flashiest player you played with who had the kind of for cars?
We all kind of liked our cars, to be fair. Ernie had like now bear in mind, Ernie's like barely, was he 5'5" if he's lucky?
Yeah.
He had one of those big Hummer Jeeps when we was at Cardiff, and he just loved the thing. He would not get rid of it. And those things are like, I don't know what they do, about 2 miles to the gallon or something stupid. You're constantly filling them up. But he had it for about, I don't know, probably about 4 years or something. He wouldn't get rid of it. In the end, he was like he was using it for weddings and everything and stuff like that. People were hiring it and everything. But yeah, I think most footballers like their cars, don't they? And if you're a decent one and you were in kind of good money, you kind of tend to chop and change quite a lot and get some nice ones and stuff like that. So yeah, I've had a couple of nice ones over the years and stuff. But now I've got older, I've kind of mellowed, and the kids come along, and your thoughts change, don't they, in terms of what's appropriate to drive and stuff. So I look back now and think, why did I have that car? Why did I have that one? But
did you have a proper sporty, speedy one?
Yeah, I went for the speedy ones. Yeah, I had like probably the nicest one I had was a Porsche Carrera, I'd say, 4S convertible. That was like my baby. I had that forever. I loved it. I had an Aston Martin as well, which was a nice car, but just not comfortable. So I didn't have that for too long. So, but yeah, I had a few nice ones. But then I kind of look back now and just think, why did I even bother? Like, you're just wasting so much money and stuff like that. But
you've got to do it though, right? If you do not have done it,
you've got to treat yourself sometimes, don't you? So
Aston Martin, that's nice, isn't it, Phil?
That'd be nice.
Yeah. The James Bond one, the DBS.
Yes.
I think of Casino Royale. I think that's what kind of motivated me to buy it. I must have watched that film and I thought I got to get one of them. So yeah, I had one of them for a little bit. So that was a nice car, but it was just annoying because it's got like they got their own alarm kind of company. So you get this card that comes with a car,
right?
And you've got to take it everywhere with you. And if you don't, say you leave it in the house or something, you get a phone call from the alarm company kind of saying like, we think your car's been stolen. I know, I forgot my cards in the act. Like, it got annoying. So if you didn't have the card with you at all times and stuff, you just get a phone call all the time because they think like obviously your car's been nicked or whatever.
Like it's tracking your movement.
Yeah, like a tracking device thing it was, yeah. So yeah, that was the only annoying thing about it. But yeah, no, it's a lovely car, to be fair. So
I didn't know that. That's one thing I've learned today, is that if you've got an Aston Martin, you get your own personal security with it.
Yeah,
the car.
Do.
That
you
and go
do.
to the toilet at the start of half time. There's the two lessons.
Yeah.
But the best part about it was like starting it up. It was just the noise it made once you started it up. You like push the key in the slot and it just makes this lovely noise. And then once I did that a few times, I was just, I don't want a car anymore.
Can't even get the golf clubs in it. Do you know what I mean?
No, like 2 seats or whatever, like this small boot and stuff. But it was just like, yeah, it was a bit like just that sound it would make once you started. It was a bit like I didn't really like it in the end because like it was so noisy. Like if people were kind of standing about and I kind of just get a bit like,
if people are looking at you.
Yeah, you think that people looking at you and stuff. So yeah, once I'd done that a few times, I think the novelty wore off. Now I've got to get rid of this, boys.
So you got rid of the Aston Martin and you downgraded to
now people carriers now and like Jeeps and stuff for the kids when the kids come along.
Yeah,
so,
that's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
You enjoying the Euros, Phil?
Yeah, massively. It's been really good. It's lots of goals, lots of own goals, actually, bizarrely. But yeah, it's been a really good tournament so far. Shame for Scotland last night. It was that last 10 minutes was great to watch with both teams knowing that if it ended in a draw, they were both going out. So yeah, on the whole, really enjoying it so far.
Yeah. Gabs, yourself, you've been watching as much as you can?
Yeah, I've watched bits and pieces. It don't feel right with Wales not being there, to be honest with you, boys. I found it slightly difficult, particularly when I'm watching the likes of Albania and Georgia who are there, which is obviously great for them, but it just makes you think, if they can make, well, how come we couldn't be here, kind of thing. And then we've obviously seen Scotland, and obviously the team hasn't performed well, but in terms of the fan base and how brilliant they've been, we know the Welsh fans would have been exactly on the same level. So it's hurting me a little bit watching it, but it's been good actually. I thought some of these group games would be a bit of a hard watch, but they've all been pretty kind of competitive, and a lot of the smaller nations have played some good football and made it difficult for the better teams and stuff. So so far it's been quite enjoyable.
Yeah, it's hard watching because kind of we did come really close, but also we threw it away as well. Do you remember we could have easily been there, couldn't we, Gabs?
We should have, and everybody kind of looks to obviously the penalty miss of Daniel James and the playoff final, but we lost it really in the qualifying, didn't we? We weren't good enough in the qualifying. I think we did well to actually get to a playoff in the end, but kind of the losses to Armenia or whatever, not taking maximum points off them in the two games. That's what kind of done us really in the end, wasn't it? So, and I thought Poland were there for the taking, to be honest with you, in the final, but we just couldn't get it over the line, could we, boys? So, disappointing.
And it's hard as well because Poland have been rubbish as well, haven't they? Do you know what I mean?
They are. They were. Like, they didn't want to win.
Yeah.
They wanted penalties. They were playing for like extra time and penalties, and we just couldn't find a way, could we? We just weren't threatening enough, didn't create enough chances. And they almost backed themselves, I think, on penalties. We did a great job of keeping Lewandowski quiet. He didn't have a kick really in the game, but we just didn't create enough ourselves. So I think they were quite happy to take it the full distance, and they're there and we're not. And they've been pretty poor, haven't they? So I know Lewandowski's been injured or whatever, which doesn't help. But yeah, it would have been nice. So I'm sure we all would have probably been out there
with hangovers right now, probably.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So
have you spoke to Ash Williams at all? Because he's out there working.
I haven't. No, I'm not ringing Ash because I spent 2.5 weeks in Qatar with him, and it was eventful. So I'm assuming he's probably acting the same way out in Germany. So I'm just leaving him to it, and I'll give him a shout kind of when he's back. But I've heard some of his punditry stuff, and he's been doing really well, to be fair. So yeah, I'll give him a shout probably when he's back, see how it went over this.
Yeah, they haven't really. Well, they might ask him about Rob Page. Who knows? Next time he's on the sofa there. What are your thoughts on the kind of the news that broke last week with Page kind of getting sacked, Gabs?
I mean, I suppose I'm a little bit surprised and not surprised. I suppose I think if you look at off the back of that Poland game, and I think it was with Steve Williams who come out, the FAW president, kind of backing Robert Page. I think we were all probably thinking he's probably going to get the Nations League campaign, or at least the first kind of couple of games. So a little bit surprised off the back of that when he was given the kind of vote of confidence, but not surprised off the back of the last kind of two friendly games where, you look at the fan reaction to the two results. I think that was probably a big eye-opener for the FAW. Look, I think the pressure has probably been building for a while on Robert Page. I don't think it's just off the last two friendly games. I think this starts from obviously the poor World Cup we had. And, you can look at end of season friendlies, and I've played in them myself, when you've got nothing really to play for, and they're not easy. And, when you've got injuries as well, it doesn't help. But yeah, I just think the reaction of the fans to those two results is probably what made the FAW react in the way they did, really. So not, as a whole, probably not surprised. I think even Robert Page, the way he spoke after that, the second friendly game, I think he knew the writing was on the wall a little bit. He seemed a
Yeah.
little bit downcast and stuff. So yeah, it's probably the right time, I would say, with the Nations League kind of coming up. It maybe gives them a bit of time to find a new manager and for him to kind of settle in before the Nations League game starts. I just think the FAW probably they just saw where we were at in terms of the fan base and how they're feeling about the manager, and probably felt they kind of had no choice really but to pull the trigger now.
Do you think they should have done it earlier, Phil? Maybe then.
Potentially so. I mean, I completely agree with what Gabs was saying there. At the end, there was I think it was on social media, a video of the fans in Slovakia, and they've got all the players applauding them for travelling, and Rob Page as they're chanting in transition as a sort of as a joke. And you watch that video, and it's really hard. That is, as again, as Gab said, the moment the FAW probably have to sit up and take notice, because if you lose the fans, particularly in a friendly game, 4-0, so disappointing. I look at the Gibraltar game as well, and I understand the need to blood new players as well. But when you've had, off the back of a playoff defeat, you play a small nation like Gibraltar, you have to go and win that game for the sake of your own career as well. And, he rested so many players. In the last 10 minutes, they could have scored a hatful of goals when James and Kiefer Moore and the likes of those came on. But from that game, I don't know if the pressure just told a bit too much in Slovakia because of the disappointment of the Gibraltar game. The timing is surprising. As you said, Steve Williams came out and backed him after the Poland loss. But I think, given that he's lost the fan base, probably it is the right move.
I feel like it was slightly unfair, though, because they did back him. Do you know what I mean? Going into them two friendly games, he, having had that public backing, if he wouldn't have had that, Gabs, he would have approached them games differently, to kind of knowing, right, I'm really under pressure here.
Yeah, I think he probably should have approached those games differently anyway. I think he should have known.
Yeah.
I know he's had the backing off the FAW, but he hasn't really had the full backing off the fans. And the fans, for me, the Welsh fans are so important. I think that their reaction and their opinions kind of hold a lot more weight compared to other countries. I think a lot of the success we've had over the last 8, 9, 10 years has not just been obviously to do with the players and the FAW, but it's been the fans as well. It's been everybody being together kind of as one. So I think when they voice their concerns or their negativity, I think it's felt more in our country than maybe some others. So I think Robert Page should have known that he was a man under pressure going into those two games just from the fan base. And I think he should have known that he needs to kind of get a result from those games. I don't think he had the leeway with the fans where he could put in the two performances that we saw from the team. Because as I said, this has been building for a while. The World Cup was disastrous. I think he was close to leaving then. Off the back of that, changes were made to the coaching staff. I think that was one of the remits off the back of the World Cup, that changes need to be made. The coaching staff was kind of tweaked. We also had where Noel Mooney came out and was kind of, admitting to maybe looking at other managers. I think that was around the Gibraltar game in Wrexham, was it? I think when we had the friendly game then. So the pressure's been building. Performances haven't been great. So if I was Robert Page going into those two friendly games, I would have been thinking, I know these are like dead rubber games. I know they're not going to be easy, but we've got to prepare for these properly, because I'm a man under pressure and I need to kind of get two results just to quieten all the negativity going into the Nations League. And look, he wasn't helped obviously with injuries, as I said. End of the season, we've got nothing really to play for. We haven't qualified for the Euros. There's players there that probably want to be on holiday. It's not an easy kind of remit for the managers to get a tune out of your team. But even with all the injuries, playing Gibraltar, who are a bunch of part-timers, basically, we should be able to get a result against them, even if it's a 1-0.
Yeah.
And then, going into the second game then obviously was always going to be a bit more difficult. Slovakia was it, I think. And, the way we kind of capitulated in the second half, and then the reaction at full time from the fans, I just think I think the FAW probably just thought, well, we're probably going to have to address this, because, what is the atmosphere going to be like now going into these Nations League games? And as I said, our fans are kind of so important. They're a big part of the culture of Welsh football. So I think there was initially back in there, but with how bad it kind of got with the fans and how they were reacting to him, I think they just felt they kind of had to make a decision. So that's exactly what they've done.
How do you define his reign then, Phil? Because his stats, he's 15 wins, 15 draws, 15 losses.
Exactly on each.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? But is it, he's taken us to a Euros, we've been to a World Cup. So how do we define him and what will his legacy be?
I think ultimately it's a success. It's a shame the way it's ended, but he was the first manager to take Wales to a World Cup in however many years it was, 60 years or so. And the Euros, there were some disappointing moments, but a really good win in that. The Turkey game was really good. And even in the last campaign, Croatia have shown in this Euros they're not the team that they were 4-5 years ago. But, they were the first team to pick up a point in Split away at Croatia in a qualifying game in like several years. And then they beat them at home in one of the better performances under Page. So, there were obviously the Armenia games you have to look at and criticise, and rightly so. But on the whole, I think Wales fans, as much as they, the patience wore a bit thin towards the end, will look back at this as a generally positive time and understand that, the likes of Bale, the likes of Gunter, those players dropped out, and that makes the job for a manager whenever you lose players of that caliber a lot harder. Generally positive, sad ending, but I think most Wales fans would, say thank you and wish him well for the job he did.
Yeah. Do you agree with that, Gabs?
100%. I think Robert Page deserves to have a lot of respect kind of put on his name. Over the 3.5 years he was in charge, as Phil has said, we qualified for 2 major tournaments, World Cup in that, which was the holy grail really for us off the back of qualifying for Euros. That was then the next kind of remit for the manager in the FAW, and for him to kind of achieve that was amazing. Now, look, it hasn't been perfect for those 3.5 years either, but I think we have to say he did a very good job. He come into the job probably not expecting to get it, probably not wanting it at the time, but he took over the role in difficult circumstances, and things could have gone very wrong from then, really, but they didn't. He's done a very good job of kind of ticking Welsh football over, I would say. And I think for the next manager coming in now, he's going to be coming in with those kind of stable foundations and a really good kind of culture with a group and stuff all still in place. So I think he will. Look, I think when a manager gets sacked or a player retires, that's when you kind of people start saying the right things and the nice things and start kind of appreciating what you've kind of done when you're in the thick of the moment and stuff like that. And, you're upset or you're not happy with what you're seeing. Then, of course, we've seen him getting kind of a lot of stick and stuff like that. But I think obviously now he's left the role, I think you'll see a lot of people now that'll evaluate everything as a whole and realize that he's done a pretty good job. As I said, there's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of kind of inconsistency. I don't think we've ever probably found an identity and a way of playing under him. That's probably my biggest kind of gripe under Robert Page. But in terms of how he's kind of managed the group and how he's been able to bring young players into the squad and still keep the squad kind of competitive as well, which is a very difficult thing to do as a manager. I think on the whole, you'd have to say he's done a decent job and has left the group and left the team in a decent place for whoever the next manager is that's going to come in next.
Yeah, when the news broke on Friday, it was Friday, wasn't it? I had my son's sports day, and then Karen here rang me and he said, our producer, and he said, have you heard the news? I was about to go for brunch with my missus, and I'm sat in the car and I'm dealing with all this. And Simon Jordan was on TalkSport, a man I've never met before, but he's always got it in for Wales a little bit. And he said that the Wales job isn't an attractive job; it's a rubbish job. Basically, he was saying. It is. Why is it an attractive job, and what are the challenges next for whoever takes over, Gabs?
Yeah. Did he put any context on the back of that as well?
Well, they just asked. He's talking to Lawrence Morey, and he just said
it's a rubbish job.
He just said it's a rubbish job. And he was just saying, is it a good job? Is it an attractive job? He was like, no, not at all. And then he moved on to Scotland, and he basically said the thing about Scotland. He
Oh,
said,
he doesn't like Scotland either, Jordan. He does not like Scotland either. He would have been reveling in that last night, watching Scotland go out. But look, I think it is an attractive job. I think as some of the things I've already mentioned, really. I think over the last 8 or 9 years, we've started to qualify for major tournaments. I think we got a real passionate kind of fan base. We've got a good kind of group of players, young players with potential kind of coming through, young players who already have kind of a lot of experience. There's high kind of expectations now in terms of us as a team and what we're trying to do. I think the FAW now are in a much kind of better place than we were kind of 8, 9 years ago in terms of facilities and all these things, and all the things that are now on offer to the team to kind of help them qualify for major tournaments. So I don't see why the job wouldn't appeal to a certain type of manager, maybe a young manager who's just maybe starting out and sees it as a good opportunity to maybe to learn the ropes a bit, or maybe a more experienced one who's been around the different places and maybe wants to now maybe go into international management. I don't know. So I don't see what's not that attractive about the job, apart from maybe what he's going to get paid. I don't know. Maybe that'll be a stumbling block. I'm not sure. But I think it's a really attractive, much more attractive than, like I said, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where, Welsh football was in the doldrums, really. And, we were nowhere near qualifying for major tournaments. So I think there's a lot of potential with a squad of players. And I think a manager, or the right manager coming in, can get the best out of them as well. I don't think we've probably seen Robert Page get the best out of some of the players that we've got. So I might be put with my CV in, boys. I don't. I'll take it.
You'd be good, Gabs. Would you be tempted to be involved in the setup?
No, not me. No. It's too full on football for me. Coaching, management, I'll never see the kids, mate. Never see the kids. So.
Fair enough. It is a big decision, this, Philip, because like Gabs and yourself have said, it's important that we maintain this relationship with the fans. It's for the last decade or so, it's been a beautiful relationship. So if it's gone a bit sour, we don't want it to go any worse. And obviously, they've made the call with this one. They've sacked Page, whereas with the gig scenario, it was kind of their hand was forced slightly. So they haven't been in this situation for a long time. They have to get it right, for sure. And we're rebuilding, as we know, with kind of Bale gone and, Joe Allen and Ramsey and stuff like that,
Yeah, absolutely. It's a massive decision, the biggest they've been forced to make in a long time. And just go back to the last point as well. Gabs, his face and mine, I think, were identical when you read out that Simon Jordan quote. It's a really attractive job. They're going into a manager team that are well backed, home, away, great atmosphere, great youth players coming through. I don't know why that job wouldn't be attractive to a manager, whether that's a young aspiring manager or someone who's been in the game a long time. So yeah, but to go back to what you're saying, it's crucial and it's a big decision. I know you were looking through the odds, and there's some interesting names that crop up on that list with lots of Welsh names, and there'll be lots of coaches who've been trained in the FAW pathway that will undoubtedly be linked with the job as well, just because of their connection to Wales. Whether that manager has to be Welsh is another interesting topic. Bobby Gould was the last one in the late 90s, and there is a focus on having Welsh managers since that. For me, the importance is understanding Welsh culture, the fan base, the identity of the team, more than where you were born yourself. If you come in and understand what it is to be Welsh, that's halfway to being a successful manager for Wales. You don't have to be Welsh yourself. Personally, anyway, I think if you get a good manager in, a charismatic manager in, they'll win the fans over regardless. So, but yeah, lots of names to sift through now, and a big job ahead for the FAW.
Yeah. Do you think, Gabs, it needs to be a Welsh person, or are you not bothered about that?
I'm not bothered. I'm open to a foreign manager coming in if it's the right person for the job. I think you only have to look at some of the teams in the Euros, some of the lesser nations now. It happens quite a lot where a lot of these teams now, the Albanians, the Georgians of this world, they're managed by people from other countries. And these teams now have all improved and, qualifying for major tournaments. They're all like, you watch these teams in the Euros now and they're all playing good football, are able to kind of control possession. They're all kind of technically good. So yeah, for me, if I'm, part of the FAW and I'm looking for the new manager, I'm open to anything. It doesn't for me necessarily just have to be a Welsh manager, because, if you put all your eggs kind of into one basket with that, then you are kind of limiting yourself as well. Those kind of people have to be available, don't they? We've just seen Steve Cooper get a job. Craig Bellamy's obviously still at Burnley at the moment and stuff. So I think this is probably a period for the FAW where they have to explore all options, I would say. And I think that's exactly what they will do.
Will they talk to the players and get the senior players' opinions?
Yeah, maybe. Aaron Ramsey's the captain. They have got that kind of leadership kind of group of, 3 or 4 players. So, Noel Moon, I know he does kind of speak a lot with the players and stuff. So that might be something that they do. They might get the advice of, the likes of Aaron Ramsey and co. I don't know. But for me, like just looking at maybe what we need next, for me, it's a manager that can create an identity, a style of play with the team. So I think that's what's missing really, a manager that can come in and get the best out of our players. You look, there's a lot of talk about in transition, Robert Page using those words quite often. But I think the only thing we've been trying to transition from is qualifying for a major tournament without one of the best players in the world. That's the only thing for me. And the first kind of opportunity to do that after Gareth Bale have left, we haven't done it. So, I feel we have to find a different way of kind of playing as a team without him. We can't just be relying on defending and give it to the best player and hope he does something. And, he's done that for so many years and got us to major tournaments, but we don't have that kind of world-class standout player now. For me, probably Brennan Johnson is the next one that we're looking at coming through to be the superstar, but he's yet to kind of light it up in a Welsh shirt yet. We haven't got the best out of him. So for me, the manager coming in now, we have to find a way of playing, a bit more of a team ethos, I would say. We've got to be better with the ball. Possession's got to be better. We got to have a better understanding of what we're trying to do when we've got the football, because I just think we never really saw that under Robert Page over the 3.5 years. Tried different personnel, different systems. I don't think he ever kind of found really what he was trying to do, what he was really looking for. And I think that's the main box to kind of tick for me for the new manager coming in, whether it's a young, progressive coach who's forward thinking, or whether it's an experienced manager who been around the block and knows how to play an attractive style of football. I don't know, either or. But for me, that's probably the most important thing for me. Because Pagey was, I think, in terms, well respected by the players. They all liked him. Great personality. His man management of the players and all that stuff, very good. But his limitations were probably more kind of on the tactical side and getting the team set up right and playing the right type of football that we want to see to get us results. So for me, that's the area looking for a new manager that we have to be really big on if we want to see improvements.
Yeah. All the odds for the next manager on Dragon's Bet's website. Osian Roberts is in there. Bellas is in there. Sam Allardyce is 6-1 there. Andrew Crofts 16-1. Coleman to come back. David Moyes is in there. Matty Jones. Ryan Giggs is even in the mix on their website. Thierry Henry's one name that keeps coming back, 22-1. Cameron Toshack, and we go as far as Cesc Fabregas as one of the names on it as well.
Wow. Anyone and everyone.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, covering themselves. Phil, have you got, I know obviously we don't know who's going to get the job, but have you kind of got a preference? Because I think a lot of the Wales away fans, they do want Osian Roberts to get the job.
Yeah, and understandably. I mean, the job that Osian Roberts did with the Wales team, with Coleman, was excellent and well documented. So, I understand that. This is simply a personal opinion. I would prefer to take a step forward than a step back. I'd prefer to see someone new, someone fresh, instead of going back to, whether that be Giggs or Rosh or whoever. I prefer a fresh face in there, because I think if you go back, or you have someone in who's been there before, the expectations sort of stay the same. You're keeping a familiar face in there, and fans will probably expect what has happened over the last 8 years and qualifying for major tournaments at every other opportunity. And you have to be realistic. This is a young team now which has lost a lot of the senior players in the squad. I know the likes of Ramsey is still there, but I think if you have someone new come in that hasn't been part of the setup before, the expectations refresh in a way. You've got someone new, not really sure what to expect, and that, again, personal opinion, would probably be good for the national team at this stage. But again, that's no disrespect to anyone on the list who has been involved in the past, whether that be Osh or Giggs, because they did good jobs while they were there.
So you fancy shaking up a bit? I'd
like to see a shake-up. I think it'd be interesting as much as anything, and I don't think it would be any worse for the national team than going for someone like Osian Roberts.
Yeah. Gabs, have you got a kind of a preference of who it could be?
Not really. I'm a little bit down the line of Phil there, really, as well. Why not freshen it up and just go for a bit? You look at all previous appointments; they've all been kind of quite safe in there, and or obviously kind of Welsh kind of obviously born managers and stuff like that. Now I don't know in terms of the budget with the FAW what they're able to do and stuff like that with the caliber of manager they're going to be able to bring in, but I would probably lean towards it being fresh and new. I just think there's so many kind of talented managers kind of out there. It's just kind of obviously doing the homework and the research and getting the right one in, because as we said, I do think it is an attractive job for a lot of managers. I think we saw Sam Allardyce come out the other day saying that he'd happily take the Wales job. Now, I'm not saying I want to see Big Sam, but this is a really experienced manager who's managed England and stuff like that, and even he's saying that he wouldn't mind being the Wales manager. So I don't really have any preferences. There's a lot of good names on there. Craig Bellamy's one that's I've probably thought about a little bit. Osian obviously knows the FAW and Wales kind of inside out. So if you wanted to kind of keep that continuity, he might be an option. I'm not sure about Henry, to be honest with you. I think he's got a great football brain, but from what I've seen of him as a manager so far, he hasn't really impressed me. And I think it looked like he had maybe one or two issues in terms of players and how he kind of treated them and stuff like that with his man management and stuff like that. So I'm not too sure with that. But look, there's a lot of kind of good names on that list, and there'll be many more as well. I'm sure that will pop up and maybe throw their name in the hat themselves and stuff. So I don't really have a preference of one, but as I said, whoever it is, I think we just need someone who's a really good coach as well.
Yeah.
Not so much maybe, Robert Page, I think, was a really good kind of man manager and personality, which is important. But I think to take the team on, we need a manager who's very good on the training ground, who can coach these players and coach an identity in their way of playing. And if he's not going to do it, then obviously the backroom staff he brings in or whatever, like we've seen in the past with, who Ryan Giggs kind of had under him and stuff like that. The coaching has got to be better for me to get this team playing like how most countries do now.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be interesting, that's for sure, isn't it? And they'll take their time, I think. And then when the man comes, they'll see how it goes. What happens, by the way, Gabs, out of interest, when like a manager gets sacked, be it in a country or a club? Do the players find out like on Sky Sports News like everybody else, or do you get an email or anything official from the club?
No. Normally, it's like how you find out. Yeah, it'd be like you'll see something pop up on Sky Sports News or whatever. You're like, what? He's gone.
Yeah.
So
you get nothing official to say like the manager's gone.
No. I've never had anything official, from a club or anything like that saying like the manager's gone. Now, normally find out the same way that you do. It'd be on the news or whatever, or one of the lads might have found out and he'll tell you or whatever, send you a message. But no, never anything official. No.
That's bad communication, in my opinion. Really bad. Speaking of sack managers, Coughlin as well. He's left Newport. What do you make of this one, Phil? Because I know you've seen a lot of Newport last season.
Yeah, saw a lot and dealt with Graham lots, and disappointed for him because I thought he did a good job there. Hugh Jenkins has come in now at Newport and is the chief investor there, and we saw what he did at Swansea and wanted a brand of football, an attractive style at football, and I can't remember the exact quote, but it said a different direction he wanted to take the club in now, and I think that's he's talking tactically as well as the money he's putting in there. So I think they'll probably try and bring someone in who likes to keep the ball on the floor, play what the Swansea way in Newport in a way instead of the Coughlin way, which did the job in League Two. It was only mid-March they were still, well, Coughlin wasn't talking about playoffs, but they were still well in the hunt for the playoffs in March. Couple games behind it and playing really well, and then injuries just really thwarted their season. I think everyone in that starting back three got injured for a lengthy period of time last year, and that's football, that happens. And I don't, if Hugh Jenkins wasn't there, maybe Coughlin would have stayed on, because I don't think he's left because of the job he did.
Yeah. Have they got the players at the moment then to play that way though?
No. is the short answer. They've lost so many players now. I think Aaron Wildig, they signed to an extra 1-year contract this week, so that's a good start. But the number of players that they have committed to play next year is minimal, particularly when you're switching a style so drastically from a physical team where they played a lot with. Even though Will Evans isn't the tallest bloke, they did go route one at times, particularly later on in games if it mattered, with Palmer Holden chasing down every ball last season, which he did excellently, to his credit, the Bristol City loanee. So, yeah, they're going to need a shake-up. They're going to need a manager in quickly, because they need to build a team from scratch here that need to be able to compete at League Two, which is so competitive, and there's good teams there. And as we saw in the last month or so of the season, you have a few injuries and things can go bad very quickly. I think they lost 5 or 6 in a row, and they finished closer to the bottom 2 than they did the top 7. So it's a hell of a job on their hands now to get that team back up to standard come start of August.
Exciting though, if you're a Newport fan though, Gabs.
I think so. I think there might be a little bit of trepidation, as well.
We've got no players.
Well, yeah, no players. I totally agree. I think Graham Coughlin did a very, very good job under difficult circumstances. Start of the season, the budget was cut for starters. You look at the players that went then, big players as well, like Aaron Lewis, Priestley Farquharson, Cameron Norman, Mickey Demetriou. And then you put on top of that all the injuries that he had through the season and stuff. And there's not many managers, I don't think, that could have done the job that he did. I think another manager in at Rodney Parade and Newport might have gone down this season. But they had the perfect type of manager for the situation that they were in with all the adversity. He just kind of thrives off all that. Graham Coughlin, he's an old school type of manager who loves a challenge, likes to be involved in the whole running of a football club, really. He's a bit of an old school manager, so he did a tremendous job. And as Phil said, at one point they were, almost in the playoffs, winning. I think they were about a point or two off
behind it in March.
Yeah, and then they had a disastrous run and stuff. So overall, he done a fantastic job. But I think as soon as Hugh Jenkins came in, I was worried, because I just thought, it's like chalk and cheese a bit with these two. Very different personalities, different kind of vision on football and stuff, and how the game should be played and stuff like that. And so I'm not totally surprised to hear that kind of news. But yeah, I think potentially exciting times for Newport. I think Hugh's got a lot of work to do for that football club in terms of trying to increase the budget to get a better caliber player in. The academy side of things as well, where a couple of years ago, they tried to get this development squad kind of up and running, and it didn't really work. But we know Hugh from his time at Swansea, and he's big on that side of things with young players being promoted into the first team and stuff like that. So I think that'll be an area that you'll be looking at in the long-term planning and stuff as well. So yeah, I think it's exciting times having Hugh there, but I think there's a lot of work to be done, and it might take a little bit of time before we see Newport kind of where we saw maybe a bit under Mike Flynn, where they were threatening, obviously, to go up to the next division. So they're not quite where they would need to be in a minute. So again, I mean, the appointment there now is going to be really important, because you get the wrong appointment in and you're not able to get maybe the players in that you like, because in a minute they're one of the lower budgets in that league, then things can go the other way very, very quickly as well. So yeah, a lot of work for you to do, but potentially exciting times for the Newport fans now over the next few years, I think.
Yeah, indeed. Interesting, to say the least. Wicked. Cool. We're done, guys, for the day.
we?
Plans for the week, Gabs? Are you going down to Wembley for Taylor Swift or something?
Everybody's been there, hasn't they?
Yeah.
Apart from me. It sounds busy there, mate. It sounds like chaos.
42 songs she sings. 42
I'm not a
songs.
big fan of her.
No?
I don't get the hype. Like, she can't sing, she can't dance. Like, I just don't get it. Like, I don't get it, mate.
Do you know what? I'm glad she's not.
Explain it to me.
I'm glad she's not in Cardiff anymore, because my fiance had 2 friends stay down, and for about 3 days, that's all I heard through the entire house on the Alexas and on Spotify. So I'm glad she's moved on to London, frankly.
Well, I'm going to share something with you both. Taylor Swift is blocked on my Spotify. That says it all. I'm not bothered about Taylor Swift.
The kids have overplayed it in the car, have they, mate?
No, do you know what? No, my boys not interested at all in that. They're into bands, like, do you know what I mean? They like the guitar, they're indie bands, so that's all right. But yeah, okay. Plans for the week though, Gabs? You're gonna watch more football on telly?
Yeah, I'll be on the Euros, mate. I'll be on the Euros.
Who's going to win it?
England.
England?
No. I was just going to say England. I think are playing tomorrow, aren't they? But that doesn't matter to me anyway. But I don't know. I like Portugal. I said Portugal before the tournament started, and I'm going to stick with them, especially off the back of their second game. I thought they were really good.
Yeah.
But you look at their squad; it's just littered. It's littered with quality. So it's just whether the manager, Roberto Martinez, whether he can get it right. He's almost got too many good players, I think.
Yeah. It's hard to pick that 11, isn't it, to be fair?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Portugal.
Okay, Phil, going to give me a name?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with my
France.
Pre-tournament bet as well and say Germany.
Germany?
I think the home crowd and being the host there. I mean, it's not a good omen, because I think the last 2 Euros, the team that have hosted the final have got to the final and lost.
Okay.
That being England last time and then France the time before. So hopefully that's not 3 in a row for Germany. But I think, when they're at their best, they can compete with anyone. They weren't brilliant yesterday, but
Switzerland were good.
Yeah, Switzerland were good. So yeah, I think they're good enough to beat a team. And I think if they get in that competitive game against a France and England or whoever, that home advantage might just carry them over.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, right. You, mate, who are you going with?
I was impressed with Germany in the first game. Really impressed with them. Do you know what I mean? But I thought France played well in their first game as well. So I'd like to see Mbappe win it. The romance of it.
Why?
I just love watching him play football. Simple as. I know there's other stuff about Mbappe people don't really particularly like, but I would love to. Yeah, I'd love to see him pick the trophy.
Do you know how many kids are going to be buying masks? Like if he wins the Euros wearing that mask, like your boy's he's gonna want an Mbappe mask, isn't he?
Do you know what? You're spot on. Like... You watch next summer all these football festivals, all the kids will be in masks.
They will. Do you know what I mean?
Gosh. Okay, so you're going Germany, you're going Portugal, and I'll go France. Then we'll see who's right. Wicked. Thanks for your time, guys. Really appreciate it, Gabs. Thanks for your time, Phil. Thanks for yours as well. Have a nice week, mate.
You're welcome.
Thanks for you for listening at home as well. And always remember about our sponsor, Dragon Bet. They've got all your betting needs on their website. We'll be back next Monday for more Sportin Wales chat. And you can follow us on our socials. Just search Sportin Wales. Tell your friends about us and share the love. And we'll catch you next week. Wherever you go, wherever you are, enjoy your Sportin Wales week.
Sportin Wales podcast.
Supported by Dragon Bet.
Your go-to for Welsh sports news and views.